Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video last 2 weeks ago, a little while ago. I did a video on how to work a mic, and I used the venerable SM58 stage mic as an example. I had so much fun, I thought I should do one on studio mics. And so here we are, and I've got this big pop filter in my face. So I can show you how to work a studio mic, and I'm going to walk you through a bunch of the ins and outs of studio mics, how they work, some of the options, and then I've got a new little silly song that I'll sing for you to demonstrate some of these principles and hopefully help you remember them as well. Before we do though, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe, and if you haven't yet, I hope that you'll consider doing so now. If you want a step-by-step method to work on your voice, head over to jeffrolka.com, where you can also find all kinds of MP3 downloads in the shop, as well as my guidebook to my YouTube channel, which can help you make orders and senses and all kinds of good workflows out of the nearly 500 videos that are on my channel. Okay, for those of you that are familiar with studio microphones, you will notice there's something missing from this microphone. And that's way down there at the base, and that's the shock mount. This is an AKG 414. I never got a shock mount for it because it's not really my main go-to vocal microphone. I have others that I like more than this one. It's not to say I don't use this one for vocals. Obviously, I'm going to sing into it today. And case in point, if you've watched my other videos, you've seen it all over the place. I use it all the time, but I've never had to get a shock mount for it. Shock mounts are really, really crucial parts of your studio for your main vocal mic. It's going to help keep any kind of weird vibrations. If you've got like a vocalist who's a foot tapper, that will keep it off of your mic unless they're really hoofing it in there. Okay. Another thing about studio microphones, they are typically referred to as side address mics. Now, what that means quite simply is that with our SM58, we're going to address it right at the front of it, or the top if you prefer, right like that. With a side address mic, such as this one, we're going to address the face of it. Now, condenser microphones often have front sides and back sides. Don't make the mistake that I once did in the studio of facing the backside toward the vocalist and wondering why the signal is so remarkably soft, and when you crank the gain up, why it sounds kind of distant and echoey. You may have your microphone facing the wrong direction. Usually the symbol, like the name or the symbol for the company, is on the front side of the microphone. Now, I chose this 414 because it has so many different variables on it, and I wanted to be able to talk to you about them so that when you buy or look at microphones to choose to buy for your studio, you can figure out what works best for you, what kind of options you want, and then make a choice. The thing about it, and let's get up tight on this 414 now, is that with these options, oftentimes you get additional costs. If you are only going to use your microphone for just vocals or just guitars or something like that, and you know that's the primary usage 90% of the time, then perhaps you don't need all the additional options. That being said, the additional options do make your mic more flexible for different situations. Our 414. You'll notice right there, on the front face of the microphone, the first thing you'll see is Turandot Beijing 98. I bought this mic used, and it was used in the production of Turandot in 1998, and it's been with me ever since they sold it off and closed that production. Buying used microphones is risky, but you can save a lot of money, and when I found this microphone, the cost versus what the actual cost of the mic were such that it was worth the risk, and it's worked out great. I've had the mic ever since, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Now, above that, you'll see a 4-point switch. Those are polar patterns that I can switch the microphone into. From left to right, we have cardioid, supercardioid, omnidirectional, and figure 8. Having all those options means that If I wanted to have people surrounding the mic, I could put it in omnidirectional mode and everyone would be heard. If you had two people that wanted to face the mic, I could put it in figure 8. I'm currently using it in supercardioid because when I use this for vocal applications, that is what I find to be the one that I like the best. Cardioid seems a little diffuse to me. I don't particularly care for that. On the back side, on the left-hand side, you will notice that we have the notes dB and then some numbers with minus signs. That is a pad built into the microphone, and if you had this mic in front of a very loud sound source, you could enact the pad in order to keep the mic from clipping at the diaphragm. Sometimes when you've got a really, really loud sound source, like a guitar amp or even some really, really loud vocalists that are really close to the mic, they can clip the diaphragm of the microphone. There's very little you can do about that at your sound console. So you put the pad on, and that reduces the sensitivity of the microphone, and you're good to go. On the right-hand side, you have bass frequency roll-offs. And what this does is allow you to attenuate bass frequencies from 0, 75, and 150. And what that means is that you can engage those frequency roll-offs. Usually what's down there is like sort of low rumbles and kind of grumblings and hums and things like that. And you can engage those to cut that away at the microphone. I don't often use that, I have to say, but it is something that's nice to have if you're capturing a live event and you have a lot of that kind of noise or rumble, or even to a certain extent wind noise in the area. Now, cutting away from my microphone, you'll notice the other thing here is I have this big screen in front of the microphone. This is a pop filter. And what it attempts to do is to eliminate the P's and B's as plosives from popping the microphone. Now, if I say pop filter, pop, pop, it clears out, it just diffuses that air that pops out of my mouth, and so that it doesn't shock the diaphragm. Now, if I move this away and I say pop filter, pop, you can hear how that shocks the diaphragm, and you get that kind of a sound there. And there you have it. That's the ins and outs of this AKG 414. There are so many microphones. The general rule of thumb is that if you can go somewhere where you can try the microphone out, then you can see if it's going to work for your primary application. So if you're going to use it for vocals, you can try it out for vocals and see if you like it. If you can use it for guitar, so on and so forth. Here, I'm using it for vocals, and now I'm going to sing my song. One of the things I missed out on the other video was an opportunity to show you what happens when you don't work the microphone. So here, the microphone is used to be at a comfortable volume for my speaking voice and, generally speaking, in my thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice range, my chest voice. As I go higher up, my voice increases in volume, and if I don't back away from the microphone, well, I'm going to show you what happens. This is a large diaphragm condenser mic. It requires phantom power. You gotta treat it right. Keep the dust off of it. Use a pop filter so your P's and B's don't clip, but remember that you still might have to turn your head. That's just good technique. If you don't fade away, you'll clip the signal chain. So this time I'll fade away. Didn't clip the signal chain. Signal chain.